The Smoking Mirror, Chapter 11. Carol led her feathered brother up the cliffs to the cave where she had stowed their clothing. They took the bundles in their claws and continued their upward spiraling. The sheer rock face seemed to go on forever, and the updrafts that bore them aloft grew thinner and less reliable until they found themselves having to draw on Shoshal to give them strength enough to beat their wings and ascend into the colder and higher layers of atmosphere. Finally, they made it to the top. Perching, exhausted, on boulders that lined the edge of the cliff, they looked out over a vast and snowy mesa. An icy wind swept toward them, ruffling their feathers, chilling their blood. Distant swirls suggested storms of great violence. Okay, I think my wolf form can handle this cold better. Turn around, though. I have to get my bundle tied around me. You'd better do the same. What? Stand naked in this cold? Are you crazy? Well, you can shift right into the jaguar, but you'll have to carry it in your mouth. Not fun. I've got a better idea. Hold on. Carol watched as her brother's owl form shuddered and morphed into something halfway between boy and jaguar, covered with fur but humanoid. Stop Tonal halfway, he growled in a bestial voice. Warmer. Clever. As her brother tied his clothes bundle around his waist and finished shifting, Carol tried the same trick. Her tonal quivered in frustration, but by concentrating hard, she was able to be a wolf girl long enough to square her clothes away as well. Then she slipped completely into her lupine shape, complete with an extra winter undercoat. The cold still nipped at her, but it was bearable. They began to trudge across the snow, circling around drifts that had built up near boulders of dead trees. As they advanced, the wind's velocity seemed to increase steadily until they were forcing their way almost blindly through flurries, guided only by their innate sense of direction. Soon the constant moaning of the wind gave way to something fiercer, a monstrous howling that made the plateau itself shudder beneath their paws. What the? Do you feel that, Carol? Yes, and whatever it is, it's definitely getting closer. Squinting through the snowflakes, Carol suddenly saw it, an enormous white whirlwind, twisting its way along the wintry mesa, ripping apart boulders and trees. It was headed straight for them. I think we need to run. Johnny looked into the distance and saw the snowy tornado as well. I agree. They slanted sideways, running counterclockwise based on Charlotte's brief comments. Carol imagined each desert as a circle like the ones her pre-AP English teacher said existed in hell. The whirlwind, seeming to sense them, changed direction abruptly and began to follow. It's coming after us, Johnny. Freaking great. Look, there's a huge outcropping of rocks to our right. Seems there's a hollow spot in the center, kind of like a cave. We can ride out the storm in there. Carol wasted no time replying. She pushed her wolf form to its limits, leaping into the space among the rocks just ahead of her brother. They huddled close. They huddled together in the dark, panting, the warmth of their close proximity a welcome change from the bitter cold. The grinding approach of the whirlwind grew louder and louder. Thank God we can communicate soul to soul, Carol projected. We wouldn't be able to hear each other with this noise. Yeah, and we're lucky to find shelter. That tornado means business. The twisting whiteness struck the surrounding rocks and lifted them effortlessly away. The twins stared up into its funnel, a blank black space around which swirled snow, sand, and shredded trees. Carol moved without further hesitation, rushing away as fast as her forelegs would carry her, Johnny right on her heels. With what seemed a howl of frustration, the whirlwind changed directions and followed them again. Dude, it's like the thing is alive. Or being controlled by someone, Carol suggested. She was certain now that whatever had their mother was actively trying to keep them from reaching the center of Miklan. As if to confirm her suspicions, two more freezing cyclones appeared on the horizon, moving quickly. The three would converge on her and Johnny within minutes. Glancing down at the necklace that dangled about her neck, Carol took stock of her possible forms. None were faster than the wolf. She thought about becoming a snatchbat again, trying to fly above the twisters, but it seemed a foolish plan, unlikely to end well. A glance at the bracelet around Johnny's upper foreleg revealed a similar dilemma. We need help, or we're gonna die. Quetzalcoatl, do you hear me? Tonantzin, God, Mother Mary, please come to our aid. We want to complete this mission, truly want to save our mother, stop the dark forces, but if we die now, we're pretty much useless. We can't do this alone. Please. Thundering from between the two new tornadoes came Xolotl, insanely fast, the wrinkled skin of his face blown back into a grimace that was both fearful and funny. Skidding to a stop in front of them, he shouted against the wailing winds, "Shift into something with opposable thumbs and get on my back quickly." Carol saw only one possibility. She took a little desiccated black digit in her mouth. In a moment, she was a rather large raccoon clambering up the side of the gigantic red hellhound. A similarly oversized spider monkey swung on the Xolotl's back behind her. "Aw, Johnny's found his true inner form," she joked. "Ya cállate, mendigo mapache. Now I know who steals my sweets from my room when I'm asleep, bandit. You don't even have thumbs, just really flexible paws. You might have to use your little teeth, Rocky Raccoon." "Hang on," Xolotl called. Their hands gripped folds of skin, and he exploded into movement just as the cyclones came together. The hellhound moved with supernatural speed, sending up walls of snow and sand in the wake of his passing. Carol clung for dear life. When Xolotl began to ascend into the bleak mountains from which the biting wind blew, she nearly slipped, but her brother's prehensile tail snagged her and pulled her close. "Careful, sis. I've got you. 4 opposable thumbs and a grabby tail. I can hold on for the both of us." Eventually, they climbed high enough into the mountains that the cyclones could only beat uselessly against the slopes. Xolotl ducked into a large cavern, and Carol scurried off into a dark recess to change. It felt good to be a human girl again, to feel denim and cotton against her skin, to stand erect and have a voice. Of course, it's crazy cold in here, but I need to talk to him. We deserve answers. Johnny had already changed and was huddling close to a fire that danced on the surface of a ring of rocks, presumably via magic worked by Xolotl. She hurried to the warmth, rubbing her hands with momentary delight before turning to the hellhound. "Thanks for saving us." "You're welcome. I was already on my way, but I heard your prayer and came just as fast as possible." Johnny opened his mouth, his eyebrows raised as if to make a sarcastic comment, but Carol waved him silence. "Xolotl, the first 2 deserts almost got us." "I know, Carolina. Our eyes are upon you. Your eyes?" She swallowed the anger she felt burning in the pit of her stomach. "But you guys didn't intervene. I could have been lost in that dark forever. Johnny could have forgotten who he was forever. I need to understand why you would risk us like that if we're so important." Sighing, Xolotl shifted into his human form. He mumbled a few words, and the fur he clenched about him swirled into normal, if old-fashioned, clothes: boots, jeans, a woolen shirt and duster. At a gesture, a slouch hat appeared in his hands, and he set it on his dirty blonde hair. "It's easier to chat like this," he said, sitting on a nearby pile of rocks. "Dude, you look just like a cowboy." Johnny had a real dislike for Western clothing, partly because everyone in their dad's family was so Tex-Mex or country and was always pressuring him to jump on that bandwagon. "Yes, well, this was how I dressed the last time I incarnated. It's easier to conjure up." He nodded in Carol's direction. "Okay, let's talk about what you've faced thus far, Carolina. The black silence that attempted to possess you, is Sewali, the dark shadow magic of Tezcatlipoca. It is his entropic response to Teotl, the creative power that binds the universe together. You fought it off amazingly by using a Teocuicatl, a sacred hymn that repels chaos, destruction, and entropy. What I don't understand is where that song came from." Carol cleared her throat to hide her emotion. "My dad. I was attacked this way 5 years ago, and my dad sang a song to help me get past my fear. He sang only one verse over and over, but the entire song came to me there, in the darkness." The man scratched at the stubble on his chin. "I suppose I just don't remember, but someone in your father's family must have been a Quicani, a sacred singer." They passed the gift on to him, and it is now accessible to you. That's good news. Songs are powerful defenses. Yay, said Johnny weakly, holding one of his bare feet toward the fire. Carol's a Jedi diva. Hush, dork. Strong as this one in the Teotl, Johnny croaked, aping Yoda's voice. Yodel she will against the Aztec Sith and their Sewali lightsabers. Carol punched her brother in the shoulder. I'm trying to be serious, Johnny. And he doesn't even get your cutesy pop culture references. Probably should be like, strong and this one in the Teotl, Johnny croaked, aping Yoda's voice. Yodel she will against the Aztec Sith and their Sewali lightsabers. Carol punched her brother in the shoulder. I'm trying to be serious, Johnny, and he doesn't even get your cutesy pop culture references. That I don't, Xolotl confirmed, but I do understand what happened to Juan Angel among the Balamija. First, his tonal responded to the call of Alcomitzli, one of the most powerful beings in Mictlan. That's what made him foolishly attempt to draw the creatures away. That and a newly blossoming desire to belong. For most of your childhood, you have been inseparable. Your mother's disappearance has pulled you so far apart that you, Juan Angel, have been excluding yourself from groups of boys your age, while Carol had managed to build a support system of friends that helped her deal with the loss, not only of your mother, but of you, her best friend. The Balamija took advantage of your longing to once again be a member of a group. Carol noticed Johnny's eyes, downcast and embarrassed at this revelation. She suddenly felt ashamed of herself. He needed me, and I pushed him away. My best friend. Xolotl pushed his hat a little farther back on his head. Then, Juan Angel, you did precisely what I had warned you both not to do. You fell asleep. Wait, they knocked me out, cowboy, not the same thing. Yes, but you put yourself in that position. When either of you becomes unconscious in this place, your human and animal souls will combine and you lose your memories. Johnny gritted his teeth. Great. So Carol's awesome because she sang away the darkness, but I suck because I let myself get merged or whatever. Don't get defensive. You should have been stuck that way forever, Juan Angel, a random jaguar in the Balamija for eternity, or until one of the snatchbats kills you. But you managed to peel your human self away from your tonal. How? Carol looked intently at Johnny as he remembered. It was Carol. She was in danger. I had to be me again to save her. Good. Your love for your family is a powerful source of Teotl as well, and that magic triggers the uncommon shoshal you both possess. Giggling, Carol mouthed, "Love Jedi," at Johnny, and he cracked a smile. Returning her attention to Xolotl, she expressed what was on both their minds. Couldn't you have told us this stuff earlier? You're not a very good guide, you know. It's the way of Quetzalcoatl. If you are given too much help, you aren't acting of your own free will. There's much he could do to interfere in human affairs, but he refuses to. People have to be free to discover the truth, to make mistakes, to believe lies if you choose to, like this place. For centuries, Tezcatlipoca spread a vicious lie among the Mexica and other Aztec tribes that souls are destroyed at the center of Mictlan. As I've told you, in reality, they passed beyond, where neither Quetzalcoatl nor Tezcatlipoca have any sway. But the Dark Lord thrives on despair and chaos. He made your ancestors believe that everything enduring about their personalities would fade away at the end of their 4-year journey. For this reason, there was no ancestor worship among the Mexica. 4 years after their deaths, people's names were forgotten. Grave sites were unmarked. A deep existential sadness pervaded the lives of those who believed this lie. This was one of the most depressing things Carol had ever heard. It echoed some of her father's own concerns about the Aztec Empire. His articles criticizing this and other elements of their worldview had caused quite a furor among certain academic circles. But we stayed distant even then. because humans must find hope on their own. You must face the darkness alone. You've been given the tools, but the fight is yours. He stood, pressing his hat more tightly upon his head, adjusting the string beneath his chin. And that's why I have to leave you now. I will not say the coming challenges are easier than the first three. That would be a lie. I will promise you, however, that if you stay together and put your love for family above all else, you will make it through to the heart of Miklan. There, the greatest barrier to happiness awaits you. I believe in you both, little brother and sister. I know that you are strong enough to stand when everyone else would cringe and bow. Fight for your mother's freedom, twins. I'll see you on the other side. And he stepped into the darkness outside the cave and disappeared.